down there, I don't care.
If you have the economic lead, there's not too many reasons to take a fight in the middle of nowhere, but we'll have to see how he wants to play out this map. I don't think this is bad for the strategy that he did in the last game, but he's down 0-1, a place he hasn't been in really in this tournament. Representing Team Liquid in red, he is TaeJa. And his opponent, spawning in the bottom right, going to be a little bit more vulnerable to perhaps drop play or Banshees. Representing Cooler Master Storm, he is Polt.
Talk to me about these positions. This is very interesting. We can see Polt has his natural exposed by TaeJa, and of course this is a big deal in TVP, but we're not there, Nate. We're in TVT land, and you are our guide.
Yeah, well, it's gas first, so we are going on a magical ride once again in control. As gas first builds, you normally don't SCV scout. This is one of those maps where you really should, because if you open up with a Hellion, like both players will get a fast Hellion out of their factory, and if you just send it across the map to scout, you're either going to run into the other guy's Hellion and not know where they spawned, or you just drive all the way to the wrong position while the other guy's Hellion runs in your base and maybe kills an SCV or something. So I would expect to see that, but as far as what the actual factory plays are going to be, Polt seems to like this fast reactor, going for the double 2 medevacs, which is a bit, it's like a greedy form of aggression because you're committing so much that you are quite vulnerable to Banshee play. But we saw in his TVTs yesterday that you know, didn't actually have too much of a problem because he just got there before the Banshee ever hit his base.
You know what this gas first kind of reminds me of? It was a Home Story Cup, I believe 9, where Daishi actually upended Bomber in a huge upset in the later rounds of the tournament. And I remember it was actually with, I don't know if it was gas first, but I believe it was, but the double medevac play is so strong. If you're trying to go for an expand build like we saw from TaeJa, I mean, TaeJa just barely came out of that probably on equal footing, but it feels like almost every Terran kind of below the TaeJa level just flat out dies there. It's a really strong timing attack.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the strongest, most popular types of builds you're going to see on the ladder if you play Terran. Second gas being taken for TaeJa, but to that point, actually, it's funny that you should mention that, like TaeJa in WCS America this year, maybe not matches, but in individual maps, has straight up died in 7 or 8 minute games to players like that haven't really put up results this year. You have like Major, he actually dropped a series to, I think twice in WCS America in the group stage, but also even like dropping maps like to Neeb, who's a good up and coming North American player, but he's not TaeJa. No. But these strategies, if they catch you off guard, can give you instant wins. And that's why they're so volatile, because then you put them in the hands of players like TaeJa, and everybody just seems to die.
Yeah, so far kind of mirror images of themselves. It does look like TaeJa's going to offer that second gas, and there's the cloak, so he'll be doing the Banshee variation of this, excuse me. Both players scouting their Hellions are actually going to kiss in the middle of the map, and it's Polt that's on attack move, and TaeJa that's going to have to just kind of fly by and continue scouting because he took the early damage, can't win the fight. On the flip side, we're seeing it looks like pretty much the same build. You have to correct me if I'm wrong, from Polt, Hellion Marine, double medevac follow-up.
Yep, this pretty much looks exactly what Polt likes to do. And, this, I think, will hurt him if Jokchi's watching this game. If as these Hellions are actually catching one of TaeJa's out on the map and killing this would be really nice. Does actually get it. Polt, so far actually a really good start then to this game for him. And he's going to, I think, force this Banshee to stay home. Like, if this Banshee, I think I said the same exact thing during MMA Polt, where I was like, if MMA's Banshee is halfway across the map and Polt's drop lands in his base and he has 2 Marines, he will lose. And I still feel that way, but a bit of a supply block actually preventing Polt from having that follow-up Viking. This could get a little bit tricky for him.
That's a huge mistake at this stage of the game, and he's just now making the engineering bay. It's gonna, well, I mean, just now, it was a few moments ago, but the point is, there's 2 Marines here and a Banshee already shows up. He's gonna buy some time with kind of a distraction SCV, but meanwhile, both players looking to score ahead. However, I think it's TaeJa that should get the better end of this deal with his Banshee almost uncontested right now.
Yeah, these Marines are actually fighting without the support of the Hellions. That complicates things as he does need that medevac to be healing these forces. The Hellions doing a good job at killing TaeJa's Marines, and he'll clean most of this up. Keep in mind that Banshee for TaeJa, still inside of Polt's base. Polt's got a missile turret about to finish, but it's actually it's actually not quite where it needs to be to defend this whole mineral line.
No.
And, yeah, the medevac follow-up, like I said, that greedy form of aggression, he doesn't actually have anything to deal with this Banshee.
No, and this Banshee's just racking up the kills. Eventually those SCVs get kind of confused and wander over there. Now he's outside the detection zone. And if he were to scan here, that's just adding insult to injury, essentially. The good news for Polt is he is adding the faster orbital, so if he can shore this up and kind of patch up the wounds, which it looks like he will, the Viking gets out and is chasing away at least where the potential Banshee could be. That faster orbital could get him back in this.
Yeah, so the first expansion in this game being taken by Polt, TaeJa's Banshee. Like this is
and he can never come back over to that.
Yeah, this is where Banshees get you like this really nice position, because Polt could have had like 2 Vikings out by now, but he really wanted to get that second medevac, and it feels weird to say he's like greedy with his aggression, but he he bought a little bit more than he had funds for. He needed the Viking out to deal with what was coming his way, and now TaeJa is actually going to pull ahead as far as, or at least very even with how far along his command center is.
And he's dropping the Marines here, so presumably a scan will come out. 2 Vikings there as well. There's the scan. Oh, and this Banshee actually might get away. No, it just dies at the fringe of the scan. Another Banshee is out on the map. I believe that's what's actually coming into the natural right now.
He's just being really annoying. He has one more scan available. He'll actually soon have energy for another one. So at the very least, he's slowing him down. It would have been really nice to delay the building command center a little bit more, but TaeJa's actually equaled it up close enough that it's not a huge deal. And the way that Polt is set up, I'm not actually sure. He might go for a bit of a big Marine tank drop, which is really good on this map due to the way that his natural work. We talked about it being easy to drop for TaeJa, but he's not quite set up for that. And I like the way that TaeJa makes his army composition, because playing around with lots of Hellions, and this goes a little bit back to what I was saying, like if Jakchi's watching this, Polt's builds, his openings, Marine Hellion drops like that, are quite vulnerable to really fast, heavy Hellion production, because you catch anything that comes out of a drop, and you might think, well, aren't Marine tank drops really strong? Yeah, but as these Banshees continue to poke and scout and he gets a feel for this, once he senses that there might be a big attack in either his front, all you do is run those Hellions up before the tanks siege, kill all the Marines, or if they drop, just catch everything as it comes out. Like, TaeJa gets a lot of scouting with this Banshee as well, while also denying Polt the ability to even scan him.
That Banshee escapes, so that scan is essentially for free. He'll go home and gets a couple of kills. Nathaniel said, I like your points, I agree with him. TaeJa doing a pretty good job. He's been just really consistent with the Banshees. The first 2, I mean, the first one did amazing damage. The second one, like you said, just kind of, it scouts, it buys time, and the third one escapes.
That drop play. So he does have, he doesn't actually have quite the air superiority that he needs. Vikings are coming out for TaeJa, so he's going to, okay, he'll soon have it even. So he can use a point defense drone to actually win the air battle. That drop though, these Hellions killing these rocks, he's not quite aware of the army positioning, and like I said, this can deal with this, but he needs to be there. He needs to catch them as they come down. So now the drop comes in. He's actually going to land his Vikings as well, which means he could use this Banshee to great effect with Cloak. He can secret missile that tank if he wants to. Good scan. He'll be able to deny that Cloak. And Polt's getting a little bit more than I thought he would from this. The Hellions will be able to run up and eventually kill this off, but he's not trading about as effectively as he could have.
No, he almost got the Raven for his efforts as well. Both the medevacs will die here. And like you said, this will eventually get cleaned up, but not bad. Not bad at all. The supplies remain fairly similar to what they were going into this, if not TaeJa pulling a little bit ahead. So I do think, and again, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that was still okay for TaeJa. His army was made to eat that attack.
You trade away those Vikings, and the Vikings were an integral part of Polt's strategy in the last game, because now I'm looking at this natural. You know what I see for Polt? A lot of SCVs. 2 medevacs about to finish up for TaeJa. He has an armory. Double Hellbat drop is well within his reach at this moment in time. The tanks are all up front to prevent any type of Hellion counterattack. And even if he flies in and he sees, oh, Polt, you have Marines in your mineral line. So
those are
actually,
fine too.
I'll gladly take those as well, because it means you can't get aggressive towards me later on.
Yeah, exactly. They're fine too. They will flame indiscriminately, and you called it. Here's the double Hellbat drop. Vikings actually not coming over to aid this. That would have been nice. They're going to go over here and do it by themselves. Polt just did move the Marines over there because he's sensing the same weakness that Nathaniel is letting us know about, but they're kind of spread out and they're amongst the SCVs, and here we go. Flame away, say the Hellbats. They're getting the Marines. They're running as well. They're supposed to be the defenders, but they're like, we're out of here, guys. Get the hell out.
Yeah, the Marines not known for being the most effective units at defending the Hellbat drops, especially since Blue Flame will be done in about half a minute or so. And you start to see the consequences of losing those Vikings with that tank push. There's nothing here to punish this. And he's slowly pulling Polt out of position. He could go for a big frontal assault now if he really wants to. And in fact, I'm kind of really worried. Look at where the tanks are for Polt. He sieged them all except for one. And even the one tank siege in his main base isn't adequately covering the ramp. Like, he can move up the ramp, drop the Hellbats on this tank, siege his tanks on the low ground. There's a lot of plays that TaeJa can make here, and he's gonna take his third base anyway behind all of this. So he's by no means committing to an all-in. He's just looking for an opportunity to smash Polt's face in now.
And smash he will. Here he comes. 4 medevacs chock full of flaming goodness. That air superiority, the subtle MVP of this game so far. TaeJa moves in. He's got a 20 supply advantage, or 20 plus supply advantage, excuse me. He's actually going to siege up down here. It's a little bit conservative. He's going to identify what's happening right now.
He's contesting his stim upgrade as well. The Hellbats escaping like little Terran force fields. He could drop auto turrets if he wants, put defense drones. He has so many options now. And the Vikings still holding away against any counter medevac drops. He's got exactly what he needs. He cancels stim, kills even the barracks that was powering that tech lab. And I mean, TaeJa, everything has just worked out perfectly for him this game. Polt made that big drop, but the loss of air control just allowed TaeJa to smack him right back. Drops on everything, and that point defense drone preventing the Marauders from actually shooting these Hellbats, cutting down the damage output of Polt's force. And it's looking like TaeJa's gonna tie things up. GG.
He was all over Polt. He actually even landed the Vikings inside that natural. He's doing so much damage. Business as usual for TaeJa. He comes back. I mean, you pointed out, Nathaniel, this was a really good point. The drop was like okay. It killed some SCVs. It killed, you know, all the Hellions. Like, it seemed like an even trade, but the big deal there was landing the Vikings and surrendering any form of air superiority they could ever possibly have. And in doing that, it really empowered TaeJa's ability to drop Hellbats indiscriminately. There was nothing to stop him from doing that.
Yeah, and even though Polt, he got the drop in, the tank landed, there were Marines there. Even though TaeJa lost a lot of what he had, if we, you know, like just hypothetically speaking, TaeJa has a lot of Marines and his factory is making tanks. His tanks are slow, clumsy, getting up into that little choke point to attack is not really going to be, it's not really going to work. So he sends